and today I'm going to talk to you about archery and the safety tips and the equipment you're going to want if you're going to want to start. Now, before I actually get into this, I want to ask you a couple of questions. One, in the movie 300, what was the thing that blocked out the sun? It was the arrow. 1,000 of them, I believe, or more than that. 10,000? I don't know. 2, what was the thing that William Tell used to shoot the apple off the kid's head? The bow. Now these are the most essential parts to archery, but you also need to know about the other aspects of it as well, like how or what type of bow you want to use. And there are a few options. These are some of them. There's the long bow, the compound bow, and the recurve bow. I myself use the recurve bow. It's a lot easier for me. The long bow and the compound bow themselves, you need a lot of back strength. The compound is a little bit easier to handle because it has a pulley system and it does allow you to pull greater amounts than you could with your own back strength. But the long bow and the recurve bow both require your own back to work it. Mainly being like this. Say I'm shooting this way. I do not pull back with my arm, I pull back with my shoulder. Like this. And then I release. Demonstrated somewhat in like this picture. We can also see that she has a quiver and an arm guard, as well as a grip. And we'll be talking about those as well. Now, the actual draw strength or draw weight of said bows are different depending on how strong you are and also how strong your bow is. A long bow can be about 80 to 120 pounds of draw strength and can really shoot an arrow very far. A recurve can be about 30 to 80. And the compound bow can range almost anywhere because it's a compound bow, it has a lot of pulleys, it has its own draw strength that it uses. The next thing you're going to want to make sure you choose correctly are your arrows. There's a lot of type of arrows. There's carbon, there's plastic, there is wood, and there's tin and various lighter metals. Now, choosing your arrow can be very important depending on how much you are willing to spend. An arrow itself, or at least a group of them, cost about maybe $2 to like $14. They're not very expensive. The bow, the arm guard, those can be a bit more, as well as a quiver. Now, each type of arrow itself is different because it has a certain weight and speed that it can reach. A carbon one is very light, as well as the plastic ones, but the wood ones are a little bit heavier and a little bit harder to control, but they are probably the cheapest thing to get for anyone. The other thing you should keep in mind when choosing an arrow and, well, just choosing arrows, is also the arrowhead, The arrowhead. There's a variety of arrowheads. A lot of them are, well, meant to kill, but not all of them are. A lot of them can just be used for the sport, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here. I mainly use bullet point heads, which are right here. They're not very big, they come in a little thing, they cost about like $11 in total, but they come together and they're very useful and very nice. There's also a lot of different other arrowheads that people use. There's the triangle ones, the more ancient standard one that looks to be carved out and filed out. And then there's also a different form of bullet head. There's also a few other ones. One is called a screwdriver head, if you couldn't guess what that looks like. But an arrowhead can throw off the weight and length of your actual arrow because it has its own particular weight to itself. Another thing that people should be warned about is the arm guard. The arm guard is there to protect you. Please do not think it is not, because it is. I have images that I am warning you now are a little graphic, but it's when you do not wear an arm guard that this can happen to you. And arm guards can come in a variety of different makes and models. The other thing that is probably your other best friend is your grip. And this protects your hand or your fingers when you pull the bow back, especially your fingers. This one is mine personally. And then stuff that I really see, well, actually the next one is the quiver, which holds your arrows. There's a variety of different ones you could get, easier said than done. Now the most stupid thing to do, and I recommend not doing this to anyone who wants to be safe. are some of these examples? Shooting up, shooting without an arm guard. I believe she's in the Special Olympics, but I'm not sure. But shooting with your mouth is just ridiculous. And yes, also arcing your shot, because that can also be very dangerous as well. These are some of the things that can happen to you without an arm guard. You want to wear your arm guard. I've had this before. I've never had this or this happen to me, and I never want that to happen to me, because that is not fun. A bowstring is about maybe 25 times the amount of a rubber band hitting you in the arm. It's very hard and very much hurts, and will almost make you literally drop your bow if you're not careful. So please, exercise caution, be safe, get the equipment. That is all.